Hi and welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to learn how to create local awareness ads. So that is going to be for those of you who have an actual physical business in an actual physical location, right? Selling actual physical products. So if you do not have an offline business, that is a physical business, you can skip this lecture. But if you do have a physical business and you're interested in creating a local awareness for that business, that is, you want people who live around you or are near you locally to come and visit your business. That might be your brick and mortar store, it might be if you have a restaurant or whatever it might be, or a cafe, etc. Then these are going to be the type of ads that you are looking for. So let's dive in. So in order to make our local awareness ads effective, we need to be clever about not only the way that we're targeting, but also the way that we're designing our ad, right? I'm going to show you what I mean with this. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and click on create here, as always. And then we are going to go down to campaign objective. Now there are two objectives here that are going to be interesting for you who are looking for local awareness ads. Those are going to be reach, and it's going to be store traffic. Now let me explain what those are and what the differences are. Now reach is going to be the objective of reaching as many people as possible, right? So what we need to do with such a reach is to make sure that you are reaching people locally, right? But reach literally means reaching as many people as possible. Now, store traffic, that is also for those of you who have a physical business, but who have multiple businesses, right? So, for example, if you're a larger company and you have multiple store locations, well, then you want your ad to target those people who are near the nearest location or the nearest business, right? So with store traffic, that means that if you have multiple businesses, you want your ads to show the business that is closest to the person. So store traffic means multiple businesses and then showing the ad and the ad location for the business that is closest to them. Reach means for a single business, a single location that you're going to reach as many people with as possible. So if you want to learn how to do store traffic, click there, and then there's also going to be a tutorial if you switch to guided mode. Now, the vast majority of you are not going to need store traffic, so we're not going to go through it, but should you in some situation need it, then contact us in the Q&A and we'll help you set it up, right? So we're gonna go through reach. So we're gonna select that. We're not gonna play around with anything else, right? We're gonna create a new ad set and a new ad, and then click on save to draft so we can get started. Now, first things first, right? We've already selected reach here, and there's something else worth mentioning, and that is that, as we already spoke about before, what you select and what the objective that you go for and optimize for in Facebook ads, that is what you get. What you select is what you get. Right? So when you select reach, now of course, you're not just looking to reach, you're looking to actually have people go into your store and buying stuff. That's how we go around. However, just know that the rules are a little bit different when we're aiming for offline businesses, right? Because if we're using traffic or we're using lead generation or we're using conversions, especially purchase conversions, well, then Facebook is able to optimize towards those goals that we have, right? And that's going to be easier because it's all online based. However, when it comes to an offline business, Facebook isn't going to have the same information and the same availability for you. So the best thing if you want local awareness and grab those people to your business is use reach and just reach as many people as possible, right? So we already selected that, and now we're gonna jump over to the ad set. There's nothing more to do in the campaign. Now for you, you're gonna need to set up this ad set just as usual, and you know how to do this already, right? The only thing we are going to walk through are going to be the options that are different and that are specific for this type of ad, that is local awareness ads. So what is going to be very specific for this type of ad is going to be your location. Now, your location targeting is what determines if it's local or not. And for a local awareness ad, actually making sure that it's local is going to be key. So let me give you an example here. Now, years ago, I was working for a gym company and helping them run their ads. Now, where they were running their own ads, what they were doing is that they were running their ads all over Stockholm. Now, Stockholm is the capital in Sweden, right? The problem with that, right, if you look at Stockholm, is that it has quite a bit of people, but where they actually had their business was on an island that was in Stockholm, and that island was called Värmdö, just like that. So now if I target Värmdö instead, you're gonna see, if we zoom in here, that that is quite a bit of a difference, right? So now, as you can see, when I'm targeting Värmdö right here, which is going to be this island around here, and you might want to do Vaxholm as well, all around here, well, that means that those are going to be the people who are going to be the locals who are interested in the gym membership, right? The problem with their targeting was that they targeted all over Stockholm, but it's also not their fault, because even now when I targeted Värmdö, you can see I have 1.6 million people. And if I zoom out, we're targeting almost all of Stockholm already. We're still not being local to the island. We're even going out in the main capital major city here. So what I need to do in order to make this local is to decrease the radius, to make it as small as possible. And now, as you can see, the potential reach is much, much smaller. And as you can see, we're targeting more precisely right now, and we're not going to get it any smaller than this, but we are going to be happy with that. Now, should we not be happy with this, what we could do would be to remove this one and then drop a pin. So let's say we want to drop this pin. We don't want to have too much in the mainland. We want to move out to the islands a bit more because we know those people are limited. I would drop it somewhere around here, for example, and then make sure that it is as small as possible. And then we have an audience that's going to be 81,000 people. Yes, your potential reach is going to be lower than normal, but that is the nature of local awareness ads, depending on where you live, of course. If you live in a bigger city, then local awareness ads are going to be bigger. If you live on an island or around islands, well, like in the archipelago here, well, then it's going to be less people. So once we've set this up, this defines that it is a local awareness ads, or rather that it is local. So now that we've set it up and made it local, and we're not including all of these mainland Stockholmers because they will never come out to the island here, well, that means that now we have it local. So you need to do the very same thing. Make sure that either you're searching for it and lowering your radius, or you're dropping that pin and targeting it where you want to. Now, once we've done this and we've set our targeting, the next thing we want to do is scroll down. Now, when it comes to age, when it comes to gender, we're not going to touch any of this stuff, right? Because look at this potential reach. It's already so small, so we do not need to be more specific, and we certainly do not need to add in any more detailed targeting. However, what we could do, however, would be to show more options, go to connections where it says all people, add a connection type, and then we could exclude people who like your page, right? Why? Because those people do not need local awareness ad. They're already aware of your business. So that is one of those genius things that you can add in here to make sure that your awareness ad becomes of people who aren't actually aware of your business. So that is something worthwhile to put in. That is still going to be the only thing we want to play around with because this is going to be so small. Scrolling down, we already know how to work on all this. There's just one more option that I want to show you, and that is down here where it says show more options. Now, it has something called a frequency cap. A frequency cap is going to be very important to understand because right now it's allowed to show one impression every 7 days. What does that mean? Well, that means that if someone sees your ad, it's going to take at least 7 days before they get to see that ad again. So that is capping the frequency. If it were 2, then it would be okay for them to see it twice in a 7-day period. Now, depending on what kind of ad you're doing is going to depend or going to be the judge of the frequency that you decide for. So say, for example, that you are doing a local awareness ad for some specific offer, for example. Well, then you might be fine to having a frequency cap of 3 or 4, right? Because you want to show that offer and it's only going to be for a couple of days anyway. But if you're planning on bringing in people steadily over time, well, then this default frequency cap that Facebook has given us is going to be just perfect, right? One impression every 7 days. However, if you find that your ad isn't performing well, you could pump this up to 2 or 3. I recommend 2 because when you start touching 3, 4, and above, you start going into banner blindness and then your ads aren't going to be effective anyway, right? So for now, we're going to keep it like that, and then we're going to jump to the ad design. Now, scrolling down, setting up this ad design is going to be just like before. We've done this before. What is going to be different here is that you're going to notice you don't have that many options unless you decide to activate those options. So you have one thing here, and that's the primary text. However, I very strongly recommend that you add a website URL. And if you don't have a website, you really should get one. There's no excuse in being a small, local, physical store today anymore. You always need to have a website. If you're not on the net, you pretty much don't exist anywhere, right? So it's very important if you're looking to up your business, you need to have a website. So I recommend that you add a website URL and then you set this up just like we've done before. What is going to be different that I recommend you do is the call to action button, right? Now the call to action button is going to be the one that's going to pop up right here on the ad. What we want to do is think about what is it that we're promoting. Now, if we're a gym, for example, or if we're a spa, we might have something like book now, so that you're going to help them send them to their site and hopefully into a page on your site where they can book a time. But what you can also do is use something, for example, let's scroll down and find it, see menu if you're a restaurant and you're trying to get more people to your restaurant, or if you're a restaurant or cafe or something similar and you want to grab people who are on their way. What you could do is use the get directions call to action. You could make sure that before in your ad set you only target people on the cell phone because you know that they are going to be on the move most likely. And then you could set up the street address here. So let's say that we set up the street address. I'm going to set it to this is a place in on the island that I told you about. So I'm going to just set it up like this, use this place. There we go. And that means that now when people are to click this ad and they click on get directions right here, they are going to be getting their directions directly to your place. So it's a genius thing to do if you want to grab people on the move and you want to have a local awareness ad and get people to your location, right? Once again, the street address, you just click on edit and then you set up your street address. It's very easy. And finally, what I also recommend you to use is going to be call now. Now, call now, what you want to do is add in your number and then they're going to get the ad and then they click on call now and they're instantly going to be calling you. It's a genius thing to do. And I really recommend that you put a lot of focus and love into your call to action button when you're doing your awareness ad. And when you're doing your local awareness ad also, remember, you are gonna need to activate a website URL to get all of these options. Once you've done that, set up your pixel and then you publish your ad and you're pretty much good to go. But local awareness ad are for those of you who have a physical store and you're looking to target people locally. And the prime thing to target people locally are going to be to make sure that the location is local, right? Make the location local, set everything up, use a reach objective, and then you have your local awareness ad. Fantastic job. See you in the next lecture.